What makes a game a Souls-like? That term has certainly become more and more ambiguous as time has gone on, and is often applied to any game that is mildly challenging, or has a dodge roll mechanic, or limited healing, or games that don't have a pause function, and so on and so forth. But Dark Souls didn't really invent these mechanics, so the term Souls-like when comparing a simple mechanic or two has never made much sense to me. In my opinion, what makes a game a Souls-like, or a good one at that, is a culmination of the things that made Dark Souls what it was, done in a unique or refreshing way, including and especially the presentation of their lore, not simply using one or two mechanics that the Souls franchise used or made popular. In this video, I'd like to go over what I think are the best Souls-like games that really capture the same feeling and atmosphere as Dark Souls, all while creating their own identities as well. And in this long drought of a wait until Elden Ring, perhaps trying some of these games will help hold you over until then. Oh, and don't worry, if you're like me and enjoy playing games as blindly as you can, I won't be showing any spoiler footage for any of the games shown. Just clips from within the first hour or so of each game and perhaps their trailers. So here are my top 5 Souls-like games to play while you wait for Elden Ring. Number 5 is Lords of the Fallen. Now, hear me out on this one. I remember back when Lords of the Fallen released, and it was really one of the first bigger Dark Souls-inspired games to release, so much so that we as Souls fans kind of just hated on it for even trying. I remember blindly refusing it for just that very reason, but obviously as time went on, emulating the style and feel of Dark Souls got more popular and we embraced it. So I went back and tried Lords of the Fallen out from under the lens that I previously viewed it, and I quite enjoyed myself. The combat style, while similar to Souls, plays out much more slowly, and the weight behind each swing is a tad more fulfilling, but it does lack the diversity of builds that Dark Souls has. The story of Lords of the Fallen is certainly vastly more linear than Dark Souls, but it plays into that hopelessness of a broken world that will feel familiar. While it is more narratively driven than Dark Souls, it plays the other tropes quite well, and if you enjoyed Dark Souls and wondered what Dark Souls would be like if it had a more straightforward story, then Lords of the Fallen will likely keep you interested from start to finish. Number 4 is Hellpoint. Hellpoint was a game that flooded me with the same range of feelings I got when I first played Dark Souls. The overwhelming task of trying to get through certain areas with specific enemies that I just couldn't seem to best, and then the hyped sense of satisfaction when you finally did make it. What I did find interesting was Hellpoint's similar progression save system as Dark Souls, but doing so didn't respawn the enemies as it would in Dark Souls when you rested at a bonfire. Rather, in Hellpoint, the enemies simply respawned after a certain amount of time had passed. And where I think Hellpoint shines in its comparison to Dark Souls is in its exploration and hidden doors and secrets placed all over its intertwined and convoluted large maps. But with the added addition of a more platformer-style jump mechanic, which makes exploration all that more exhilarating. You also find Hellpoint's healing is more in line with Bloodborne, however, as you carry a very limited supply of actual healing and otherwise heal from damaging enemies. Hellpoint throws you into a world in the aftermath of a quantum cataclysm known as the Merge. You play a character created by a being known as the Author to gather data and help save the space station you're currently traveling aboard. You can unravel mysteries of other cosmic gods and uncover rituals being performed all aboard the Novo station. Number 3 is Shattered, Tale of the Forgotten King. Shattered was a very fun and interesting experience. It involved combat similar to Dark Souls and more of a platformer feel, even more so than Hellpoint, with double jumps and dash jumps. But my favorite part in comparison to Dark Souls for Shattered is its story. It is a dark and deep story, very beautifully written and eerily uncovered in the broken and foggy world of Hypnos. NPC dialogue and item descriptions adding depth to the plot will feel quite familiar to Dark Souls fans. And I really don't want to give too much more away. This story is truly something to experience for yourself. As I said, it is a very dark and beautiful tale, and the gameplay and mechanics will feel great as the narrative sucks you in. Number 2 is Remnant from the Ashes. A lot of people that have played Remnant have referred to it as Dark Souls, but with guns. And to be honest, that is a fair way to paint it. While a little more straightforward in regards to its overarching story than Dark Souls, Remnant still leaves a ton to be explored at your own pace and often in your own order. And while it's technically a shooter, you still have your dodge rolls, stamina management, melee attacks, limited healing, and checkpoints that are few and far between, that'll bring Souls fans familiarity in a genre that's a bit different. Remnant is set in a post-apocalyptic world that you're destined to be the savior of. There's also lots of lore to be uncovered from tons of item descriptions, as well as journals and computer logs to be found around the game, which make exploration more fun and rewarding for all the lore sleuths out there. Remnant's boss fights are quite difficult as well, which is welcoming for anyone who enjoyed the challenge that Dark Souls once provided. And Remnant's boss mechanics are pretty well done and enjoyable in and of themselves. What's also really neat about Remnant is that their levels are procedurally generated, so you won't play on the same map each time you start a new game or New Game Plus, and exploring will always be rewarding. It also has drop in and out multiplayer, so playing with your friends is a breeze, which could come in handy as things get pretty tough. And you'll never have to worry about if your friend can see your soapstone or not. And finally, number 1 is Mortal Shell. Mortal Shell is, in my opinion, the definition of a game writing a love letter to Dark Souls. It feels like home, but adds all of its own uniqueness to make it stand out, but not feel like something that it isn't. You awaken in the world as a foundling, an empty vessel, and throughout the game you'll come to inhabit different shells, each of which contain their own set of skills, health and stamina pools, armor, and even lore. NPCs and item descriptions hide throughout the world, waiting for their lore to be uncovered as well. Mortal Shell even has a pretty cool thing with their items in a familiarity scale, meaning once you use an item a certain amount of time, you learn more about it, which encourages playing and exploring more if you want to uncover everything this dark and twisted world has to offer. Mortal Shell is truly, in my opinion, the closest thing you will get to that feeling you had the moment you fell in love with Dark Souls, and it ought to be played by anyone and everyone who enjoyed any of the aspects of Dark Souls. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll try out some of these games if you haven't already. A quick list of Souls-like honorable mentions are Nioh, Sultan's Sanctuary, Chronos Before the Ashes, Dark Souls 2, Hollow Knight, Code Vein, and Blasphemous. The wait for Elden Ring is long and arduous, but we're almost there, and I think you'll enjoy passing the time with these familiar feeling titles. But thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and stuff.